Stephen, how are you?
Well.
That was a quiet start because you know what? Just in case everybody who's listening to this is still suffering from New Year's Eve or whatever celebrations, even though this is now the 2nd of January, so Happy New Year to you.
This is the first official podcast of the new year. Happy New Year to you, mate.
It flipping well is. So it's been a good one. It's been a challenging 25.
Yes. A year of transition, I would say.
Yeah, but I think I put it down to it was laying, if you know what I mean, foundation laying.
Yes.
So all the kind of crappy stuff you have to do, in order to start off on a good step for 2026. So I'm really excited about 26.
So am I.
And we've got a great start in January. I have a couple of questions actually for you, Stephen.
Yes.
So everybody listening, and any new listeners, welcome. But Stephen has a bit of a background, has been a bit of a PT and a bit of a health kick, as opposed to me. I'm just naturally gifted. I mean, if you looked at my body, I'm chiseled, I'm everything else.
An athlete like the world has never seen before.
I don't know. Don't ask me how I do it, but I just do it. I mean, when people look at me, it's like, oh my God, how do you do that? Yeah. Is that months, years? No, I just literally, it's just natural. Anyway, what I want to know, Steve, two things.
Go on.
First off, it's dry January.
Oh, yes.
Are you a fan of these?
Do you know what? There's a lot of people aren't, but actually, I generally, it's a double-edged sword, generally no, but I do think the new year is a clean slate for a lot of people. Well,
so these things like dry January, are they not sponsored by like the Alcohol-Free Association or whatever it might be? And it's just like a gimmick, a sort of way of just trying to get people to, well, just drink their soft drinks or whatever it might be. But also what I did laugh, I was at Liverpool yesterday doing a shift, and I was talking to one of the guys there, and he said, oh, it's dry January. He says, yeah, I've measured me, mate. I lasted 3 minutes. So at 3 minutes past 12 on the 1st of January, he's like, yeah, there's dry January out the window, as he was sinking his next pint.
A few of my mates in the WhatsApp group said, are you going out for the Liverpool game tonight? And they were like, no, because I'll end up drinking. And if I drink today, I'll end up drinking tomorrow to take the edge off it.
But also, and this is the biggest thing I was really going to ask, is how much really is it? How much of a waste of money is it when everybody goes, I'm going to the gym, and they all pay for gym subscriptions in January, go for 3 days, and never go again?
Yeah.
Come on, you've been there.
Yeah, I have. I did gym. When I worked in gyms, January typically wasn't a great time to like sign new clients up because of that reason, because they would come and go and flip-flop around. So usually February was a really good time.
Well, didn't they used to have a bit of a bad rep because they'd sign you up in January for a year and you couldn't cancel?
Yeah, so the sales targets were like through the roof in January in gyms.
Yeah.
And they would sign you up normally they'd make like an offer, a special offer, like pay in full for a year, and you get it for X amount of price or whatever.
Yeah.
And but generally,
I'd love to know what the dropout stats are.
I would, and I actually knew these years ago when I was a PT, and I don't know them anymore. But I think generally the success rate will be quite low. But on the flip side of that, the more I think about it, is if people can have a fresh start and have a better year, because it has not been the easiest year, 2025. So if people can have a good start to the year and start to make some headway towards their goals and stuff, then I'm all for it.
Well, okay, so I'm not going to discourage anybody. Anybody that is going on that journey, I wish you all the best and stick to it.
Yeah,
and
I will. Maybe we'll do a podcast in a month's time or a couple of months' time, and we'll have an update on where people are with the New Year's resolutions. Well, so if you want to text in or email in or comment, then we will happily take that on.
Hang on, I'll get my text out now, because I'm going to say I definitely won't be going to the gym. I know I'm going to be okay with that one. I won't be going on one of those health kick journeys.
Talking about resolutions, do you have any sort of, even if they're not resolutions as such, do you have any sort of aspirations for 2026?
Well, of course. I mean, number one is I want a new kidney, right? So, so if I get a new kidney, I'll be fine, right? So yeah, I want to get a new kidney, and also, of course, we want to see the pod get back to where it was.
Yes.
So get back into the top 20, which would be lovely, even higher if we can, everybody. So I'd love to do that. I'd love to see the content room go from strength to strength and really sort of shine like it should be doing.
Well, I've got to give a shout out to Chris on this, because in the sort of hiatus period of Christmas, we had a sit down and we had a good talk about some business offerings and some services we're going to provide throughout the year, and some packages that we're going to put together. And it's it got me really inspired, and going into this new year period, we're going to be putting out content that represents that off them off, well, all them offers really.
Are you saying I might have given you some good advice there?
Well, yeah.
Text in anybody if you want some good advice.
Not to push no copy down too much. To be fair.
Text in. Am I missing an opportunity here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's very easy to get caught in your own bubble.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to look at your bubble when you're inside the bubble. It's very hard to look at the bubble when you're inside the bubble. So having someone from the outside the bubble look in and go, right, this is what needs to be done, I think is absolutely invaluable, especially from people that have been there and done it before.
If there are any relationship advisors out there who could do the same for me, please dial in, drop us a message or anything else. Because I'd love to know what I'm doing wrong. Well, thanks for that, Steve. Well, I mean, it's yeah, and I think it's going to be a great year. I really do. I mean, because the thing is, life gets in the way of everything, right? And there'll always be hiccups. There's always going to be challenges, and it's how you deal with them. I mean, okay, so this is now the 2nd of January, 26. There's been some rubbish news over the sort of celebrations. I mean, look at those poor people in Switzerland. Did you hear?
Terrible, yeah.
40 people died in a club because of a fire. So you've got to sit back and go, thank God, we're still here. We've got nothing really to complain about.
No.
And so when you look at it like that and put it into that perspective, I think, really it's just life. When people complain about stresses or anxieties and everything else, it's just life.
No matter what we do, I've heard a lot of people say this, and Anthony Joshua, which we might talk about. Do you hear about Anthony Joshua?
Yeah.
Was in a terrible car crash in Nigeria, and there was a clip that I seen, and he was saying, all of it's really a big distraction because we're not taking anything with us.
No.
And Adam Jones said that on the podcast actually about 3 weeks ago. He said, because I was talking to him about money and what we're investing in the business and where we want to get to and what we want to do, the goals we've got financially, and he said, well, if you don't, it's only money.
Yeah.
And it was just, the way he said it was actually just a great perspective. It's only, at the end of the day, it's only money. You'll make more.
It's okay. I get that, and I think if you have money, it's easy to say it's just money.
Well, that is true.
Because when you don't have money and you've got the council stressing you out because they're chasing you for stuff, or people just sending you bills for stuff, and you just think they're.
I got a business rates bill of £800.
Yeah.
For no reason. I'm thinking to myself, it's only £800. Again, it's not going to make or break the business, but
no, but it's just added pressures, isn't it?
100%.
It's just added pressures, and on top of that, not being funny, but you then got people who don't pay their bills on time.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
As someone who's built a successful business and sold a successful business, did you get more enjoyment out of the process of building and creating that business, or when you were at the top of the mountain?
I think most definitely it was the building of the business which was more exciting for me. I'm not very good on the admin side of things, right? And so for me, it's all about it was all about creating the solutions and creating the sort of fixing people's problems and everything else.
Right.
I got more satisfaction out of that, and I took the belief that I thought, if I do a good job and I keep customers happy, it doesn't really matter what I charge them because they'll keep coming back, right? Whereas if I'd had my proper business head on, I'd have sat there and I'd have priced things properly. I'd have been a bit more competitive with my pricing in terms of making more money, and I might have made yeah, might have made a lot more money. But as it was, I did it because I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
And things like admin side, the paperwork, the billing, and all that kind of stuff, kind of didn't fell to the wayside. But I didn't put as much focus on that because we weren't a big business. There's only 5 of us, and so yeah, I just enjoyed the doing.
Very interesting take that, because when I think about where we are building this business now, I mean, even if I look when we first started to where we are now, it's absolutely night and day. So in a year's time from now, who's to say where we'll be?
And I think for me, and the reason why I'm involved in this is certainly not for the money. It's because I love creating things and I love getting involved in stuff and I love, hands-on work. And there are some people in business, for example, who, it amazes me. They don't even know what the business does, but they're very good at, coming up with, how to make money out of it.
Yeah.
And there are those businesses out there, those people that are out there that, I take my hat off to them. But, ask them to do something that their business does.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have a clue.
100%.
So I was always a great believer in, work from the bottom and work through, because that way, I can do anything within the business.
100%.
But you see some of these people get parachuted in. I've got no freaking idea, but they know how to run a balance sheet.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's different types, but I hope through our passion and through our quality of workmanship that we do, then that will get out there and will rise above.
I love it.
As long as we keep on top of costs and everything else, and we don't end up sort of you going out there and driving around in Bentleys and Porsches, we'll do fine.
I think so. It's definitely exciting, mate. It's definitely exciting. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to realise some of our goals that we've already set out. But when I speak to like yourself and Adam, who've built some soul businesses before, the common thing that I'm getting is that there's enjoyment in the climb. So even though it can be stressful and it's hard work, very hard work at times, especially being a dad and trying to be present for the family and everything, it's something I'm trying to enjoy as well.
It is, and you know what? I mean, that the most stressful thing for me was the cash flow in a business when you're starting up. And that's what basically kills a business. You can have a fantastic business, but if you haven't got that cash flow, what they say, cash flow is king, and absolutely it was. And it's only when you get to the point. I mean, even
cash
after
flow is king and costs kill. Yeah,
and even after 14 years, there'd be times when you'd sit there and you go, God, I've got a big corp tax bill to pay, or the VAT is coming and everything else, and all it takes is for a couple of customers to take their time paying you, because HMRC and people like that don't wait around.
100%.
And before you know it, people are trying to demand stuff off you. So yeah,
Elon Musk said this on X the other day. He said, "There's nothing that's government funded; it's all taxpayer funded." Because when the government says, "Oh, this is government funded," it's not. It's taxpayer funded.
Of course it is. Absolutely. And you know what? I was having my breakfast this morning, and I was looking at this Osmo camera thing, right? That Will got for Christmas. I saw that on the table, and I don't know what they are. Let's say they're about 400 quid.
Yeah.
Right. And I was sitting there, and I was thinking, this is getting a bit boring, everybody, but it just fascinated me. And I thought to myself, how much tax has that £400 piece of kit generated, right? And it got me thinking, and I thought, well, first off, I've got to find £400 to buy it, of which I'd have had to pay tax on my £400, right? So let's say I'm doing round numbers, make it simple. So I'd have had to earn £450 in order to get £400 in my pocket. So there's £50 that goes in tax. Then I'm buying the product for £400, which has got 20% VAT on it, right? So you're paying tax on that. The people that have sold it to me, have made a margin on that. So let's say they made £200 profit on it, which they will ultimately have to pay tax on that £200. And so you sit there and all of a sudden you're thinking, gosh, that small item of £400 is actually generated quite a lot of tax on its own.
Yeah.
And then if you apply that to absolutely everything that we get, then you realise just how much tax we end up paying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and how many times can you tax the same pound note? It's an honest question, because when you look at physical cash, a lot of people talk about this in the financial space. If I give you £50 for your service,
Yeah.
in cash, and then you pay me £50 for another service in cash, the value of that £50 stays the same because it's cash. But in digital, if I pay you by card, I pay a tax on that. I pay a processing fee, and then eventually you pay the tax. I pay a tax on what I've earned. You pay a tax on what I've paid you. Vice versa. Eventually it goes to zero, right?
Okay, so again, I don't want this to be a tax program, because I'm nowhere near a tax expert. Maybe an accountant who we should get accounting on. But what are HMRC doing around things like if you were selling your own goods? You know, these eBay shops and everything else. So if I got this lovely chair at home, it's a Spitfire chair thing. It's like Tom Theorton. It's a gorgeous chair, costs an absolute arm and a leg. If I sold that, right? Would I have to pay tax on it? At what level do I have to start paying tax on it? What if I made money on it? Do I have to pay capital gains on it? You know, if you've bought something for your own use and then you sell it, surely you're allowed to claim all of that.
Well, maybe this is a nice segue into some more broader topics, because my missus started. She was made redundant last year, and she started creating videos on TikTok selling products.
Yeah.
Doing recommendations. She's now qualified for TikTok Shop. She's qualified for monetization, all that stuff. Great. And she's making £300-400 a month.
Okay.
Best, you know, she's made up. She enjoys it.
Yeah.
Creative. Da-da-da. I've done a bit of research into this exact topic of like, what's the point that you get to where you do have to stop paying a tax on it? Because essentially we're getting products into the house, which she's promoting and then selling and making a commission off.
Okay.
Then, we had a big clear out of the house the other day. Story in itself. That's a kind of worms. If I sell clothes, for example, my old clothes on Vinted,
yeah,
there is a tax threshold. There is a threshold now.
Why? Because you've already paid the tax to buy them.
Yeah.
HMRC, I really think it sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
yeah, you can't tax people into oblivion. Like, it's killing it. I mean, probably might be a topic for a different day. This, but it's
well, I guess you've always got to get.
How can it be that you can go to Cyprus or Dubai or any country that has different tax rules and they run perfectly fine, but we can't do that and make everyone wealthier?
There's always, I guess it's because, I know when...
Is it because there's a massive deficit to basically make up?
Well, there's always people, isn't there, trying to avoid the systems, and I think that's why we've got all these rules. Because back in the day, and I don't know how far back to go, but I seem to remember that as a small business, you could earn up to £300,000 before you had to pay corporation tax. All right, which I thought was a great thing, because if you were making money, you could make £300,000, which you could then reinvest and everything else. But of course, what then happened was, I think it was in the early 2000s or late 90s, people like the BBC started employing people as companies, right? So your presenter on TV all of a sudden would set up a company, Chris Saffel Corporation, and then they would pay Chris Saffel Corporation, who could earn £300,000 profit without paying any tax, which effectively was just a one-man band. So rather than employing me and paying pay-as-you-earn and everything else, you would pay me as a company. I could earn up to £300,000 profit, right, and not pay any tax on it. And so HMRC thought, hang on, we can't have this, because, we've got all these people then earning up to £300,000 and not paying any. As an individual, that's a good salary, right? And so they brought in this thing that said, no, basically, if you make a penny profit, you've got to pay corporation tax. So that kind of stunted the growth of small businesses, because you're sitting there and you're going, oh, geez, I'm now paying the same kind of taxes. So, and that's all because people were out there trying to max the system. But like you say, when you go to Dubai, how come places in Dubai have no tax, and yet be so successful. That's because they've got a lot of oil wealth.
But well, essentially, this incentive was, if you look at the country now, this country, you got record amounts of millionaires leaving the country.
Yeah, we're just taxing it.
In a hypothetical, Chris, if Funky Bear and Concept Room do really, really well this year, let's say we make £10 million this year. Let's just say we have a year of absolute explosive growth.
Yeah.
And we make £10 million. What's the incentivizations to stay here?
Yeah, there isn't. I mean, it's if I'm being honest, I have no desire to want to set up and employ people at the moment because it's too expensive.
I've thought about it a lot with the concept because we do need extra help now.
Yeah, it's too expensive and it's a real shame. But look, hey, let's try and get off being on a downer. All right, and let's have a bit of fun.
100%.
So, what I want to know, Steve, I'm going to ask you now. Again, we've had the festive season. What do you do about regifting? Have you ever regifted?
Yes.
And do you think it's a good thing? And have you ever been embarrassed by regifting? I.e., you've given back the person the present that you got given by them.
So, my mother-in-law.
Yeah. Is this a confession? Does she know?
I think it was my mother-in-law. Someone got me like a body wash set or
the Lynx Africa.
Yeah, it was like the L'Oreal or the Nivea, like face cream and deodorants and everything. And I didn't realise we had a secret Santa that night. So Becky was like, "You've got Josh in the secret Santa." Well, I didn't even know it was a secret Santa. Never mind, I knew I had Josh, so I had to give him the set.
Okay.
in the secret Santa. And then after we did,
Josh, if you're listening, he really did put a lot of thought into that. Honestly,
totally. And my mum proceeded to have a go at me because the gift that I got him was crap.
Sorry, who is Josh, by the way?
My cousin's partner.
Oh, okay. That's quite
good guy, Josh. Good guy.
Yeah, so you re-gifted a present in the secret Santa.
I genuinely think I've been re-gifted stuff in the past as well, to be fair. I can't prove it, but I think I have. What about yourself?
Well, I think I've gone past those days now because I just don't have any friends.
Yeah.
I have no friends, which means I don't get any presents.
We got to the point with my sisters where they messaged me about 3 months ago saying, "Look, we're just going to buy the kids stuff this year and we're not going to buy each other stuff." And in my head, I like buying stuff. I like gifting people stuff. So,
well,
I can't not buy someone something.
I'm more of a giver than a taker. Yeah. And my daughters used to say, Dad, you're the worst person to buy for because you've got everything. And if you want anything, you go out and buy it. Yeah. And again, this is going to sound really ungrateful, right? But I really would rather people don't buy me anything rather than just buy me something. And so I have a confession actually about this year. So as you know, or might not know, everybody, I'm learning how to play the bass guitar.
Really?
Right. So I started in September. Shout out to Scotty over in Hacienda, where my place in Spain, because he got me. I've always wanted to play bass, and he got some bass and he showed me. And as soon as he showed me how to play just one very simple little riff, I was hooked. So before I'd even got home, I'd ordered a new bass guitar. Never played it in my life. Ordered a bass guitar off Amazon and everything else, and it arrived. But it's like a beginner's set. Right, because I didn't want to spend too much money on it, and straight away I was like, yeah, it's all right, but I could do with a better one. So I went to there's a local local music store in the Pyramids in Birkenhead.
Oh yeah,
right. And I went in there because I wanted a new amp. Because the amp I bought, I thought wasn't very good. So he sells me this new amp, right? So I get this new amp, and I'm telling him this story about me learning and this, that, and the other, and he said, oh, okay, yeah. He said, well, when you get to the point where you've outgrown the other one, which will be in a couple of months, it won't last you long. He said, you want to think about something like typical kind of upselling, and I'm easy to sell to. So he gets this bass guitar out and he starts playing this bit, and it sounds amazing, right? And he's like, this is kind of like a medium level bass guitar. He says it's not one I'd use on stage if you're gonna. He said, but I don't think you've got aspirations of being, a rock star. Well, I have, but I'm not going to be playing live on stage. And so, and it's a Fender. It was a Fender.
Maybe you could be the new member of Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
I will. I'm going to start it. Don't worry. I'm planning on it. And so I saw this because I thought, oh, that sounds lovely. It felt lovely and everything else. I'm thinking, oh my God, I need this bass guitar. And it was like £300, right? And I was like, oh, how can I get this guitar, right? And Chris had said to me, this year we're only going to spend £100 with each other for Christmas. So I'm speaking to a big shout out now to Jamie, who's the guy who owns the music store in Birkenhead. And I said to him, says, Jamie, have you do me a favour? I says, if I put a down payment on this guitar and leave £99 as outstanding, I need to. Will you play along with me? I says, because I'm going to tell the missus that I found a guitar and it's on special offer. It's only £99, right? And this, that, and the other. And then she could buy me this guitar, and I get the guitar I want, right? But she's not had to pay for it, right? Because I don't want to get it in the ear that she spent £300 on a guitar, so I'll pay the difference, right? But you've got to play along and pretend that she's getting an amazing deal. And he's like, Chris, I do it all the time. So there must be loads of guys out there just trying to pull. Yeah. So I went, okay, and this is in September. So of course I set the scene with my other half, and I'm like, oh, I've seen this guitar, but he's maybe an offer, and it should be £300, but he said I could have it for £99 in September only. He went, oh right, okay. I know I've only just started the bass guitar, but I really would like this one. It's really nice. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. And then, because now I'm thinking, what if she doesn't buy it, right? What if she doesn't? I'm going to have to buy it anyway, right? But anyway, so I try this, and I'm setting the scenes. I keep saying to her, October came, Chris, have you bought that guitar yet? No, don't worry, I'll get the deal off him. Well, how do you know you're going to get the deal? Because I can get any deal off anybody type of thing. I'm like, well, maybe you can't. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, and will they recognise her? Because Jamie goes, how do I know it's your missus? I said, she's like a little Chinese lady. She'll come in and I'll get her to, find you and this and the other, and say that you showed me. And anyway, so bless her, she did get me this guitar for £99. And she thought she was getting a good deal.
What a nice story.
And she thought, oh, do you know what? And it's a beautiful guitar. So thank you, Chris, for getting me that. She thinks she's got herself a great deal.
Amazing.
And so I don't mind doing that. And I have done in the past, especially with my daughters, I've gone out and bought my own presents.
I love that.
And given it to them to wrap,
to
give to me. So yeah, that's what I do for Christmas presents at Christmas.
Love it. So Ian, my brother-in-law, Becky's brother, said similar. He said throughout the year, he pretty much buys himself everything he wants.
Yeah.
So what they've done this year is get each other matching tattoos.
Oh.
Not a massive tattoo fan myself, even though I've got one removed. But yeah, they got each other tattoos because he can get a new tattoo every year. Because he basically just gets everything he wants.
Now, I heard a rumour. I can't vouch for this because I haven't seen it. Right, I don't have any tattoos. Right, so before people start shouting at me and everything else, it's your own choice. Obviously, I personally wouldn't have one. However, you've got to be pretty committed to get a tattoo done, and you've got to be fairly certain that things are going to go the way they are. So if I get, like a name tattooed on me of a girlfriend, I need to be fairly confident that I'm going to be with that girlfriend for quite a while. Although I know tattoo artists can now get a bit clever when then they can turn him into something else. But a story, I'm not going to mention names, just that someone I know was going out with this girl, and they'd been together for quite a while. Nice. And it was on and off sometimes, but they'd been together for quite a while, and they weren't tattoo people, right? So they're my age, not tattoo people. And anyway, as a birthday present to my friend, his girlfriend comes and surprises him, and says to him, "I have a surprise for you." And he's like, "Oh, okay, what is it?" And she's quite artistic, and I won't go into any graphic details, but basically, let's say she strips off, and she has below her belly button, let's say, above where you think it's going to be, property of and his name tattooed. Now, my friend was kind of shocked at this, right? Because his initial reaction was, "Oh, how lovely! That's pretty permanent, right?"
Yeah.
And all he kept thinking, a bit like me, was, "What if we split up?" The next guy that comes along, is she always going to have to find a guy who's got the same name?
Yeah. What the requirements on a dating app that is.
And it just got me thinking. And again, listeners, if you've got any great stories of where you've had a tattoo done, or you know of someone who's had a tattoo that's turned into a little bit of an awkward moment.
I mean, that is some level of commitment, to be fair.
Well, isn't it? You know, and thank God that my mate had a fairly normal name, right? and it wasn't too outrageous, because then I really would struggle.
Sure.
Tobias. How many Tobiases are out there if you're trying to find a boyfriend with the name Tobias? And also, how freaked out would he be the first time he sort of ventures down there and you've got a tattoo that says, "Welcome, Tobias."
How funny is that?
But also, you hear about these stories, when they have these Chinese language characters put on and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sometimes sitting there thinking, come on, man, how do you know he's not gone in there and says, "You Western idiot," and he's got that tattooed on your arm, and you're sitting there going, "Yeah, it really means some kind of like Chinese, words of wisdom."
I know.
So yeah, text us in. I'll give you the text message at the end. But
sure.
So that's quite a funny thing. So yeah, Christmas for me was good. And also another big question is, and tell me about this, everybody, when do you stop saying to people, "Happy New Year"? How many times now, every time you see something, "Oh, Happy New Year, Happy New Year." It was worse for me when I was in business, because you, of course, got all your customers and everything else, and you get on the phone. And if you haven't spoken to someone in the new year, right, the first thing you say to them, "Yeah, Happy New Year," which is great when it's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th of January. You've just come back, maybe on Monday, it will be the 5th of January. So yeah, you still get away with it. But when you're at like the 28th of January and you haven't spoken to someone and you speak to them for the first time in the new year, do you say Happy New Year?
I would say probably 10 days, I would say. Is probably the cut-off.
So the 10th of January, if we haven't spoken to you, don't expect us to say Happy New Year.
Yeah. All these New Year's resolutions and aspirations we spoke about today will be gone by next week.
But it's funny. So what have we talked about? So people that are going to the gyms,
yes,
people on dry January, and saying Happy New Year.
I think one of the big things is big. I think a lot about ideas, as you know.
Yeah.
And it's my honest belief that most people have a bigger idea than what they're currently doing. Whether they're in a 9-to-5 job, whether they have a bit of a side hustle, whether they are maybe, a parent on maternity leave, whatever it is. Most people have an idea of something they want to achieve. I would love to know everyone's big idea, because I had this discussion with a guy in the gym the other day. If you can do your job without your boss, should you be self-employed? Or should you consider going self-employed? What are the barriers to entry? What is stopping you creating that big idea? I would love to know, because I think everyone's situation may be a little different. There's probably some food for thought and stuff that we can help you with the content room.
I think I would always encourage people, if they have big ideas, to go it alone, but don't be reckless. And the reason I say that is I would always encourage people to, where they can, be their own boss. right? But it's not for everyone, because those days where you don't get out of bed, those days when you're feeling under the weather, if you don't work, you don't get paid, right? And when reality kicks in to some people, they don't like that, right?
Yeah.
Some people like the security of, I've got sickness pay. I mean, there's someone, for example, that works with Chris in the NHS. It happens all over the place, but especially in the public sector. They've been off sick for 6 months on full pay. Now, if you're self-employed, you ain't going to get that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? No. You cannot sit around on full pay, right, for 6 months.
No.
So there are some benefits of being employed. All right. But yeah, if you get frustrated and you want to do your own thing and blah, 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 then yeah, do it. But it is not easy.
For me, I remember being I worked for Lifetime. I was delivering apprenticeships and I loved that job. So this isn't a slice on them at all. And I was on an okay-ish salary.
Yeah.
Okay-ish salary. Ish. When I look back now, it's not a great salary, but at the time it was a decent salary, I would say. And I got to the end of the first year and they offered me a pay rise. It equated to around, after tax, around £180 a month.
Okay.
Increase.
Yeah.
Not shabby.
Again, that's about $2,500.
Best in the kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
And I was PTing on the side, and I was doing a bit of video editing on the side. And I was trying to I was kind of coming to a bit of a crossroads with my career. And I took on a video editing client for £600. And it took me 2 days.
Right.
And I thought to myself, 2 days work, £600, £180 a month to work 40 hours a week. The maths just didn't math in my head.
Hang on, that £180 there was on top of what you're already getting paid.
Yeah. But I could create a world for, it made me realise that I could create a world for myself where I could do 2 days work for £600, where I would have to work a month for an extra £180 in the same job. Now, if I could figure out a way to cover my salary and to create that income. So if I had done, essentially, at that point in time, if I had done 4 video editing jobs for £600, I would have covered my salary.
Yeah.
And it would have took me 8 days in a month. So in my head, I was like, obviously there's a lot more to it than that, and there's a lot more that goes into it in terms of advertising and marketing and da-da-da. But it kind of made me realise that for the actual work, the actual client delivery side of it, which is what you're employed to do, and what clients take you on to do it when you're self-employed as well, it made me realise that I could just make a lot more money for doing a smaller amount of work when I was self-employed. But
yeah, there is that
has come all the headaches and the stress and the sleepless nights.
There is, and like I say, then you start getting into corporation taxes and this, that, and the other. So there is a lot more to it. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely, to get you going.
But in the basic client delivery of just when you're holding a check in your hand for £600 and you got your bank account which is showing you £180 extra a month. I don't know. It was just something that made me realise I really needed to just burn the boats and go self-employed.
Okay, so I've got something for you then using your big ideas.
Cool.
So those of you that don't know, I do casual job working at LFC as one of their fan support. So if you ever come to a home game at Liverpool, get yourself round to Turnstile T, which is on top of the stairs on the main stand, because 9 times out of 10 will be there. Come and have a chat. Now,
excellent.
I love doing that. I love meeting people.
Or you could turn around, drive a bit down the road and go to the Hill Dickinson
Not doing that. Don't do that. I'm not doing that. Now, so my big idea is, how do I love doing that job. I love speaking to people. It's not so great when it's cold and it's raining and everything else. And I try and cheer people up as best I can. But I can't take that job elsewhere and go, I'm going to set up my own. I'm going to set up my own fan. Well, maybe I could, because they use a lot of contract personnel in there. I mean, I'm employed direct by LFC, but they do use a lot of contractors in there. But
I think, do you know what? And this is going way off on a tangent. When it comes to like really boring business models, things like, like providing security for stadiums, things like removal companies, storage companies, laundry, places, hairdressers, things that are quite boring business models are the ones and it's fascinating to me that the ones in this AI world that we're steamrolling into at the moment are the ones that seem to be making the most money. Things like, I know someone that bought a plot of land and made it into a car park. The caravan storage place around the corner here is doing tremendous amounts of money just for storing caravans that people can't store in their properties. So there's a thing to me around boring business models, which I might lean into this year maybe.
That could be something coming up. So I'm fascinated. I am absolutely fascinated with how much things are costing these days and how we can afford it.
One thing I did want to touch on is when we've talked a lot in private about how we're going to help businesses and how we're going to create podcasts for different people, different businesses, different ideas. For anyone out there who might be listening to this and on the fence about podcasting or on the fence about creating content around what they do, and you might be thinking, well, what I do is quite boring. What would your advice be on taking like a fairly mundane subject matter and making it entertaining for people to listen to and consume?
Well, I have to be very, very careful here because this is our first podcast of the year. We've not really hit on any specific topic as such. We're just chatting out loud. Now, to some, that might be quite boring. To others, maybe not. But I think for me, if I was to advise someone on what to do in a podcast, I would always say, make it fun, right? Get some jingles made, make it sound a bit like a radio show, that kind of thing, right? Because there are some times, and I've listened to some podcasts, whether you switch them on, and they might be educational and everything else, but boy, they are dull as dishwater, and I switched them off. So I think you've got to be engaging. You've got to be fun. It's got to have something to say, I guess, in some respects. I mean, we're just talking idly here, and we haven't even got a script. We haven't even discussed what we're going to talk about. We're just literally free flowing, right? Now, when I listen to this back, it might be a load of rubbish.
If you are a first-time listener, I'd love your feedback on this, because usually we do have a bit of a structured framework to our podcast, and that is what the framework that we will take forward. But do you like these more sort of, what would you call them, brainstorming podcasts? Just conversational podcasts?
Well, I'm going to come up with a new word. I think we're free podding.
Free podding? Yeah. Nice. I like it.
We are free podding, right? Where we are going down and we are literally, man, just going with the flow.
I love it so much.
We're going to free pod.
Free podding, is that a good word?
Yeah, we're going to make it a good word.
Yeah.
Come and listen to Steve and Chris free pod their way into the new year.
Yeah, free podding.
There you go.
That, by the way, if anyone wants to come and do a podcast, it is not free, but we can free pod.
Yeah, when we say free podding, what we're not kind of saying that you can come and do it all for free. But anyway, look, Steve, I'm done.
Well, from me to you, Chris, Happy New Year
for this one. And honestly, listeners, we'll have a bit more structure for the next one. But we also need you guys to give us some ideas as to what I want to discuss. I really appreciate your time.
Give us some ideas. We want all your feedback to make this podcast the number one. We are going to get there.
Oh, by the way, right, listen out, because the new podcast that was then, this is now, is going to be coming out at the end of January.
I love it. Which
has got these famous people that they were in the time.
I love it so much.
Coming on board.
Such a great idea.
So listen out for that. Right, let's get going.
Thanks, pal.